Hello, my mystical friends. Step inside the Oracle Parlor. Grab a nice cup of tea and get cozy with me, your host, Fantasma Witch. Let us go on a journey of all things magical, mystical, paranormal, ghostly, psychic, as we discuss both my stories as well as the stories of guests where we can share in this beautiful parlor space our experiences, our beliefs, and our ideas without judgment. Welcome. Cozy up. It's time to sip the magical tea. Hello, magical, mystical friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Oracle Parlor podcast. The atmosphere today is a little spooky and mystical as we have, as you can see, another guest in the parlor today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Tharyn, and you can find me at Tharyn Beyond the Veil, your paranormal historian and psychic medium guide into the world of mystery and magic, as well as paranormal investigating and ghosts and the conversations that happen with them. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm a little bit of everywhere these days and would love to teach you all about the spooky things.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I love that you blend mediumship with paranormal investigation, which is why I was so excited to have you on the podcast because, I know a lot of like magical practitioners and some folks may dabble in like paranormal investigating or may have some interest, but to know someone who blends the two like you do is just so cool. So, I'm curious, first, when it comes to like sensing spirits and being a medium, how did you kind
Mhm.
of get your start or realize like, oh my gosh, I'm having these experiences?
Goodness. So we're gonna have to go back in time, follow the thread with me, if you will, to the beginning of time. When I was a kid, I lived in a very haunted house. It is literally the name of it locally is the most haunted house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Oh my
It's very
gosh.
well known. It's been featured on TV, on the news, in the newspaper.
What?
Like it's a big deal. And growing up there, everybody knew that the house was weird. But when I came in, I apparently was the one that was talking to ghosts. The precognizant memories would be my parents heard people talking to me to my baby monitor, and I would talk back to them. And they were like,
Oh wow.
"What is going on?" And then as I grew up, I started to hear things which sound like people trying to speak, but it wasn't like out loud all the time. It was more in like inner ear
Mm.
clairaudience, and they'd be like, "Hey, hi, I live here." I'm like, "Dude, what?" And being so young, I did have a very close understanding what death was, but I didn't
Mm.
understand what I was talking to as ghosts. So I
Hmm.
was communicating with these ghosts who were just like, "Yeah, so I died here, and I'll let you know what's going on." And it just kind of grew from there. I heard historical events that happened, personal experiences. I got to hear, "Oh, you'll never guess what your mom said on the phone today," kind of stuff all the time. And it wasn't until I'm much older that like when you would see things like the haunting of this place on the History Channel, or like when things like Ghost Hunters came out, that's when I was like, oh, it's not just me. Oh,
Mm.
because I grew up, I'm older, so I grew up in a time before the internet, and when I did have the internet, I was allowed to go on like the Beanie Babies website, and that was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. So
I feel that.
limited, unfettered access. But I didn't understand it at the time, and as I grew, I never I never had an experience where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I knew what I was doing and I
Mhm.
experienced it. Whether the people around me believed me or not, was it made no difference because it was still
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
So I just kept doing it. And now I'm here. Like we're talking, that really started cognizantly when I was about 5 years old. So now
Hmm.
we're 30 years down the road. Here we are today.
Fantastic. Sparkling with all the spookiness and everything. I love it. That's amazing.
We we embrace the dark. That's what we got to do
Yes.
with these
Yes.
these
I
trying
mean,
times.
I feel that. Oh my gosh, even today. But yes, oh my gosh. I mean, I can absolutely resonate with a lot of that as well. Like I have a similar experience of like having a lot of things happen in my childhood. However, I think it's so cool that you saw what was happening on TV and you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is what's going on." Because for me, that light bulb click moment didn't happen until I was much older because I was so in denial. I was so telling myself,
Hmm.
"Oh no, no, no. The psychics on TV, that's a different thing. They are real. What I'm experiencing, no, 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 no."
But they were doing something completely different than what I was doing at the time. We're talking
Yeah.
like the Miss Cleos, the Sylvia Browns,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
those are with the prominent psychics where they weren't going to places and talking to spirits to get information about the spaces. They were talking to your
yeah.
past loved ones.
Yes,
So I was like,
yes,
well,
exactly.
am I doing it wrong? Because I just talked to
Yeah.
Greg and Greg's looking for Bob and then he left. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was a whole different animal back then. And most people, like,
Hmm.
what's so funny about the dichotomy of then to now is
Yeah,
when psychics would be on TV and being like, I am getting the sense of somebody whose name is Mark and da 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 da. People were like, oh my God, nobody questioned it.
yeah.
But when it was the opposite side of that fence, when it wasn't like somebody you knew, then it was, oh, well, that sounds a little insane. That's where the
Hmm.
paranormal investigation came in later. That was
Mm.
when I was more like, I was 18 when I first got to experience it in real time in my own home. When I called a team, I had to make a deal with my mom. I was like, Mom, if they
Oh
come
my
in here
gosh.
and they don't find anything, I will willfully go to a hospital. I'm obviously insane. If they find nothing, obviously. She was like,
Yeah.
okay, deal. And they literally validated every experience that I stated that I was having with their
Amazing.
evidence, the EVPs, the pictures,
Yes.
everything. And you know what's so wild is sitting at your kitchen table in review and they're playing stuff. And I was just like going back in my notes because I kept records for years.
Oh, how
And I was
cool.
like, oh, like when I told you this on this day. And she's like,
Um, excuse me.
like, Tharyn, did you realize that our house is haunted?
No, really.
Yes. Really?
Yeah, you don't
Really?
say.
Shock. Wait. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe it. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So I is that kind of how you had your first aha like validation of like, oh my gosh, these things I'm experiencing are real.
That was part of it. The investigative evidence that was gathered backed up a lot of experiences that were being had that were related back to obviously you have a mental issue,
Yeah.
but they were validated by them happening in real time. But prior to that, we had somebody that was writing a book about our town, and they there was like this joke of like, oh, we'll ask Tharyn. Tharyn knows all about the ghosts. And I literally came in with like 3 books and was like, I've been keeping records since I was about 7. Let's talk about this. And I'm telling them things like, this is what the spirits are telling me. This is what they said. They told me that this happened and this happened and this passed. And he's like, that all matches up historically. Like I read that the records, and then
That's
my
so
family's
cool.
like, who told you that? Nobody. The ghost told me. No, somebody told you because I didn't tell anybody about that. Did
Yeah.
I tell you? I was like, no, the ghost told me. So it was a very big aha moment for them. And then me being like,
Yeah.
this is a spite issue now. Like, I need to do this out of spite.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that you took that and you used it for the fuel of the fire within you to like chase your passions and chase this essentially like your spooky bliss, like really to have that validation. For me
It's
it's
mentally exhausting.
no, it really is. And it really is annoying when you're having experiences and no one else is having them or they're in such denial of them that it makes you question yourself. And I love that you were like this booky kid that like kept journals of everything. I'm like, dang, I wish I was more like that when I was a kid. But it's funny because like again, I was in such denial when I was young, and it wasn't until I was in college in my 20s where I had my first realization that, oh my gosh, someone else saw the creepy peeking ghost in my room that could validate exactly what I was seeing, exactly where I was seeing it, what it looked like, everything to the exact details. And it was like suddenly it was like, well, if this is real, what else has been real? What else did I not make up? So it really is an
Mm-hmm.
eye-opening experience to have someone outside of yourself, someone who you don't even really know, who doesn't even know what you've been
Mhm.
through say, yes, we see you and we see what you're seeing. We hear it.
It's so validating, and but also it begs questions as a psychic, as a medium, of when people are seeing certain things and you're seeing certain things, and you have to quantify why are they there, what exactly is it that I'm looking at, and understanding as you like expand guides, beings, ghosts, past loved ones, and they all work in different frequencies and
Yeah.
different ways, and like at some points I think for a lot of psychics, they're just not sure which one's which at times because it's just a lot at
Yeah.
once.
Hmm.
They're just all coming in. They're like, "Hello, yes, I am this, I am this, I am this," or they don't identify it specifically, and you
Hmm.
have to like figure that out. And it gets so overwhelming. And when somebody comes in, it's like, "Oh yeah, da da da," and then they just say it like it's a casual thing, and you're like, "You have no idea what you've done on this day for me. Thank you."
Yeah, no, really. Like life-changing moment for you. For them, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah, even today, I still, as confident as I am, like I do it. It is.
Yes.
Whether I'm picking up on it specifically 100,000% correctly, or if I'm only getting a gist of a situation, I still go in and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what I gotta do. And even recently, I've gotten some really good validations about things that I like that I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yay.
No, it's so funny how like even as like professionals in like the psychic community, when we still have that confirmation outside of ourselves, like it's always like such a high of like, oh my gosh, wait, I was right. And they're like, you're the professional. Like you, yeah, and it's so funny. We're confident, but it's always so fun and like giddy.
It is, especially especially in work and consultations when I'm in them, and like I'm just
Hmm.
like hit, 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 hit,
Yes.
hit, and I'm like so excited for the client to feel
Yeah.
seen, and I'm like I'm really good at my job today. I'm on
Yes.
it. I'm so psychic today. I'm doing a good job because you
Yes.
have to hype yourself up. It's so
Mm.
easy to get lost in and I think this is a big thing that kind of inhibits other psychics when they start out is their own personal doubt of
Mm.
what am I doing?
Yes.
How does
Yes.
this work? Quantifying it is the biggest thing that a lot of people try to do is to make it make sense. So it doesn't feel like you're
Yes.
just blindly believing in something.
Yep. I always like to say it's my Capricorn stellium getting in the way. Where it's like I have to
Mm.
have the evidential things to back up what I am sensing. And over the last few years, like really the last like 3 years, I've really started to throw that out the window and be like, okay, cool, we can have the logistics and we can have the factual evidence, but let's set that aside. Let's let the logical brain take a break and allow the flow
Mm-hmm.
just to happen. Because yeah, that can really get in the way when we're trying to like tap in. For sure.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you get into your own head,
Hmm.
because what I've noticed, and this is something that I've worked with clients on, is when you're sitting here in your forefront, you go to, well, logically.
Yeah.
But that logically could be the answer, but it also might not be the answer because you're
Yes.
thinking too critically about what you're looking at. What
Yep.
you need to do is kind of separate the space. So what you're not doing is thinking, and it's just kind of going, whoop, whoop. You're missing
Yes.
this part where it hits, and you're like, well, that doesn't make it. Well, why would it be trees? I don't know. Yeah, but it probably is trees though.
Yeah. Yes.
It
Yes.
could be trees.
It could just be that.
It
Exactly.
could, obvious is the answer sometimes, but also when
Sometimes
you
it
think
is.
about it too
Yes.
hard, then you
Hmm.
spiral and you're like, well, I don't
Yes.
know, but like I'm smelling trees. I see trees. I don't know what about trees. Little did you know that person was a lumberjack.
Oh my gosh. I've had that happen where it's like, why am I seeing a horse? This makes no sense. And then like my client's like, oh, well, because ranchers and this and that. And I'm like, well, here I was overthinking the horse. But getting back to kind of like the paranormal investigation side of things, because I feel like we could just talk for like hours on like psychic stuff. Like it's one
Oh,
of
yeah.
those things,
Oh, sure.
But how was it that instance of having those paranormal investigators come in and kind of validate those experiences that got you into paranormal investigation yourself? Like, what was that for you?
I'm going to tell you, and be so 100%. It was that I grew up afraid. I
Mm.
didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to be alone. I was
Oh,
afraid of the
yep.
dark.
Yep.
I never knew what was going to happen day to day. It might
Yeah.
be somebody calling my name out from the dark. It could be somebody
Yes.
banging on my door. It could
Mm.
be somebody making music in a different part of the house. It could be a shadow in my room that comes up and it's like getting in my face. It was hard to know for sure what experience it was going to be.
Yeah.
And while not isolated, I felt very isolated. And when I found there was a way that you could take a outside perspective and control the situation to gather the information to know what exactly you were working with, where I didn't
Mm.
have to rely on my hypervigilance of psychic ability. I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're going to quantify this, we're going to make this make sense. And then I got the team that came into my house, they asked me to be part of the team, and I was part of the team for a while, and then I branched out on my own for a little bit. I would say, like, as of now, my higher focus isn't so much just we're gonna prove the ghosts exist. I don't care about that anymore.
Yeah.
I care about the perspective of those who may not have had the ability to share it in life. I'm
Yes.
very giving space to those who did not get the space while they were alive. That is, I would say, it's like my moral compass, like goal in what the
Yeah.
work is that I'm doing at current.
I love that so much. And that is one of the things that really deeply resonated when I found your stuff was just how passionate you are about treating spirits and entities like actual people and not just like other and something to make mockery of in this way. And I have a lot of questions and like points that I'd love to dive into on that. But I just want to point out really
Yeah.
quick how amazing it is that you found this like comfort in being able to get into paranormal investigation through that event to sort of bring yourself stability with this scary, air quote, scary experiences that you were having and to find ways to let the paranormal investigation almost be sort of like the framework to allow you to move within that psychic space in a way that felt safe and allowed you to sort of like
Mhm.
expand in this really beautiful way to become more confident and less fearful, which is so important
Mhm.
when doing this kind of work, I feel like.
I thought of it like a shield. Like if it wasn't me picking up on it, I could get a validation in the moment so I could
Yeah.
really vibe out what direction I needed to go, or should I pull back, or should I keep going? Should I dive deeper into this person, or should I move to somebody else? I had the ability to know and have external assistance so that we
Mhm.
were all working together for a common goal. And I didn't feel like I was just trying to fight something that I didn't understand. As I was
Yeah.
understanding it, the more I was going out and talking to them in a more just like, hey, bud, what
Yeah.
you doing here?
So why are you here? What's going on? Yeah, I love that. I love that it feels
you
way more casual. And
mm,
that's something I wanted to talk about. Like I was saying, it's cool to meet a fellow psychic who also does paranormal investigation with tools like you do. And so often we see paranormal investigators on media and even psychics on media, like they're almost like two completely separate fields. And sometimes, unfortunately, they treat spirits like very other. Psychics less so, I
mhm.
feel like, but definitely in the paranormal community. And I'm just curious, what maybe your experiences are working with other paranormal investigators as someone who kind of, is in the liminal space.
So I've got a twofold in this. One, being a psychic medium, but also being woman presenting. There is a very broad disconnect between the paranormal community as a whole with the
Mm,
demographics that it hosts, which is
mm,
predominantly ruled by men. Um, I have met a lot that don't feel that in the paranormal, like investigative space, that I am as apt because reasons. I fit better in the medium space. That's what women are supposed to do. They're supposed
mm,
to be the mediums. And I'm just
hmm.
like, okay. And also it's very much more trying to balance like what you're trying to accomplish in the conversation with like what the reason is we're even there
Yeah.
while you're talking to me about getting that information, but you're basing your assumption on your assessment of how good I am at it by if I can get you specific information you want. But
Hmm.
that's not always the case. It's not
Yeah.
like I can't walk into a place and be like, so I heard about this. What tell me? And they're like, I don't know. That wasn't me. It's like he said it wasn't him. Well, they need to tell us who it was. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm just ghost number 6. Like, leave me be.
Yeah.
They forget that like not like the thing that frustrated me a lot when I would work with others, was that there was always an assumption that there was this vast understanding of knowledge that every ghost knows everything that's happening at any given time, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
More often than not, it was we ran into one aspect of the ghostly populace, of the spirit populace in the space, and they'd be like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and then it would turn into, "Well, obviously you're not very good because you can't get the information out of them." No, I'm
Mm.
clairaudient and clairvoyant, so I can only go off of what he's talking to me about, and what he's saying is he doesn't know. So what would
Yeah.
you like me to do? You want me to like yell at him? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's always a tandem thing too, because as you're just trying to do your job, you're also getting the critical eye of them just assuming you can't do it in the first place, because investigators tend to be very hypercritical about anybody that claims to be a psychic medium, and they tend to forget that people forget things. They tend to forget that
Yes.
people sometimes literally have nothing to do with the situation at all, just because they're
Yep.
in the space. They must be aware.
Yep.
No, there's a lot of human empathy and just understanding that seems to get lost once that person passes away, and that's what
Yes.
frustrated me. And for a
Mm.
very long time, I just didn't work with other people. I worked by
I mean,
myself.
like, I don't blame you because, like, yeah, I mean, that's really frustrating, especially because, like, what you're saying, like, they're just like humans who are living. They're not going to remember every single detail, and they're also going to have opinions. So what you perceive as one way, as maybe like being malicious, actually is not, and is maybe an accident,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe like, oh, this person got shoved. Well, maybe they were just trying to get their attention and like maybe pushed a little too hard, you know? And there's that frustration that I feel like comes in when watching and witnessing some paranormal investigators who want to jump to conclusions on it's demonic, it's evil, it's XYZ yes, without actually doing the investigation part, you know? But and I mean, I feel like there are a few paranormal investigators. Like I really love Greg and Dana Newkirk, who I've mentioned on the podcast before. I really love
Mm-hmm.
Kindred Spirits, which they have been on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people who are actively trying to answer those questions of like, but what's really going on here? Let's not just go, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
spooky ghost. Let's actually see why spooky
Mm-hmm.
ghost.
So for the record, I just want to state this. I have been an investigator in the investigative field for over 16 years. I have been on over 240 investigations at this point. Do you know how
Wow.
many demons, actual demons, I've run into? None. Not a
This,
single
yes.
one.
Oh, thank you.
I have run into curmudgeons. I have run
Hmm.
into jerks. I have run
Yep.
into ghosts who were jerks in life and are jerks in death. But never was I like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a demon in here. It was always they told me I'm a demon. And I was like, sir, you got the energy of a russet potato. You
I
gotta
had that
pump that
happen.
number up here.
Yes.
You
I
gotta
had
pump them numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
I had that happen where one time I had like this thing in my last apartment and I was trying to like figure out what was going on. And when I tapped in, I was like, "What are you?" And it's like, "I'm a demon." And I was like,
No, you're not.
"Please, I don't think so." And then all of a sudden it turned into like this little gremlin-y guy. And I was like, "Okay, that's what I thought. You're like a little dust bunny. All right, get out of here."
You're a dust bunny with an attitude.
No, exactly. And so often it turns out to be
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly. I've been threatened by ghosts, just straight spirits, not demons, not
Yep.
beings, just
Hmm.
there's aspects of human spirits that just got mad at me and they were like, I'll get you. And I'm like, go for it. I'm right here. I'll wait. And
You're like,
then they're
"Sure,
like, I'm
all
gonna
right."
get you. I'm gonna get you. They're like, all right, cool, whatever. You're not gonna, but you can if you want to. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's so. I think we could go. I could really go in depth about it because I've done so much thoughtful thinking about this specifically with the
Yeah.
whole. If it doesn't feel right, it's a demon. A lot of that is just societal comprehension from certain religious order ideas about what is
Yes.
what. And unfortunately, we as a society for hundreds and hundreds of years have been worked under a very specific umbrella of a certain morality standard based off of a certain book that a lot of different people wrote at a lot of different times, and
Uh-huh.
that carried over into society with the satanic panic,
Yep.
the idea of like morality was going to church every Sunday. Anything that's not an angel is a demon. But how can you tell that difference when you can't even tell what you're feeling because you
Yeah.
need to go to therapy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Having
So
that
it's
discernment.
frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have to, in a way. So a lot of what comes in this is bias. It's personal bias, personal
Yes.
belief systems that really cloud your judgment on being being like open-minded and like more practical and critical with your thinking. So you're like,
Yes.
oh, it feels bad as a demon. What if it's just a dude that actually had a really rough life and he doesn't want to be around other people? Maybe that's why you're feeling discomfort. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, only demons make you feel discomfy. Who told you that?
Yeah. Where did that
Where
come
did you get
from?
that idea
Yeah.
from? Where
Mm-hmm.
did that come from? Did you believe that inherently, or did you pick that up from somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
The one of the big things that I talk about like in lives and sometimes in my videos and stuff is like decolonizing your thinking when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to spirituality,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we put so much into the same bucket and been like, this is what it is. And once you start to actually pick through it, you see, ooh, yeah, that's not the case sometimes.
Yep.
So
Yeah, exactly. And like as someone who anyone who's listened to the podcast before, as someone who was raised Catholic and was having these experiences and was witnessing like I love paranormal shows. I grew up on them, but like witnessing that idea of like, oh, it's a demon, we're gonna yell at the ghost and we're gonna get mad at the ghost, and the demons. I was so scared, and it's one of the reasons why I shut down a lot of, or attempted to, because you can't really. I shut down a lot of
mhm.
those abilities that I had as a kid because of that inherited belief system that had built this structure of fear within me. And it wasn't till much later that I, like you said, decolonized that, had to break that stuff down and realize, wait a minute, I'm going to take my power back. I actually can say no. I can have boundaries with spirits. I can say, like, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. I'm just going to close the door there and, be on my way.
I understand where you're coming from. I actually, not a lot of people know this, and maybe I should talk about this a little bit more. I went to Christian school for 9 years.
To after school Catholic school. So, hey.
Um, when I say Christian, a lot of people think Catholic. I'm like, nope, they did a lot of up and down prayers and
Yeah.
confessionals. We didn't do that. We sang
Yeah.
songs with
Different thing.
guitars and stuff. So it's a different thing entirely. But I went to Christian school, and during that time, I was being completely and utterly rocked by ghosts in my own house. And then I would come to school, and I remember talking to my teacher that I trusted about it. And I was just like, my house is haunted. There's a lot of ghosts there. She's like, oh, ghosts aren't real. God wouldn't let that happen. I'm like, well, you go tell them that.
You're like,
You go
okay,
tell
come
them
over
that.
and you tell
But
me. Yeah.
also, riddle me this: if all ghosts that we communicate with as psychics and mediums are demons, why is nothing? Why are we safe most of the time when we talk to them? Do they really just want to talk about why they didn't like that chair in that room that they were really focused on for 15 minutes for no good reason? What would be the point of that? That makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Why would a demon that you believe is an all powerful, can harm you kind of creature, just hanging out in someone's basement, mad about the furnace making a noise?
Yeah.
This makes
Yeah.
no sense. The
Yeah.
disconnect here. Do they have nothing better to do?
For
Like,
real. Yeah, no.
I understand though that when you come out of that environment, it's very difficult because sometimes you don't realize how much of that teaching you carry with you until you
Yeah.
really start to dive into it. You
Yeah.
realize so much more of yourself was like really put back because they don't teach you boundaries in that aspect, because you have
Hmm.
to be open to the spirit, you have to be open to God, you have to do as he says, and even if it feels uncomfortable, like you have to listen. We don't get taught that we are allowed to say no in that
Yeah.
in that capacity. So it's harder when you come off of that ledge and you're like, okay, well, now I feel like I need to start from scratch. And it's
Mm.
such a journey. And for everybody that's on that journey, kudos to you, because it is a hard road to walk, but it's a worthy
Yes.
road. And there is good at the end of it. I promise you.
Yes. And that's actually what I was going to ask you is like, what advice do you have for somebody who is deconstructing these internal belief systems, who's trying to maybe have curiosity over fear, trying to no longer be afraid of these things and instead be like, oh, but why?
So, one of the first things that I always recommend to people is you have to forgive yourself first.
Dang, that hits. Yes.
One, it does. And one of the big things is you are going to carry with you feelings of self self-criticism, because how could I let that happen? How could I fall into that? How could I let myself be deluded into that rhetoric or those feelings? You got to forgive yourself. It wasn't your fault. it's it's all designed in a certain way in
Yeah.
so many different aspects for you to feel that way, for you to have it done and to be sucked into it.
Yeah.
And that can go for pretty much anything. And I'm not even just talking about certain aspects of religious institutions. I'm talking there's a lot of things out there that can just suck you in, and before you know it, you're caught up in the whirlwind.
Yeah.
You need to take a moment to forgive yourself. It doesn't make you less intelligent than other people. It doesn't make you a bad person overall. As long as you're taking the steps to change, to adjust, to learn, to take in information and to really evaluate it, you can take some time to forgive yourself, because those things can happen and it's okay. And there are a lot of people out there that experienced it too and are doing the same things.
Yes.
Reminding yourself you're powerful.
Yes.
Affirmations. Even if you don't believe it when you start, look in the
Yes.
mirror and go, I am the best. You want to be worked more into your psychic abilities? I'm a great psychic. Say it like
Yes.
you mean it. Work into
Exactly.
the belief system,
Heck
but you got
yes.
to be regular with it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just even, oh, I did it like 3 times and it didn't work. No, you got to do that every day
Every day.
for at least once a day,
Yeah.
at least 21 days to make a habit.
Yes. Yep.
You got to do it for at least 21 days to make it a habit. Do better for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself
Yes.
space to make mistakes. We work so hard as a society, as people, that we have to do it right all the time, and we always have to be ready to do whatever needs to be done, because that's how society has trained us. Workhorses. That's what we are. Give yourself grace to trip. Give yourself time to
Mm-hmm.
heal. Give yourself space to make mistakes. You
Yes.
will learn, and find people that resonate with you. And when
Mm.
I say resonate, I mean you feel it. Not that you're just like, oh, that makes sense. No, you want to feel it. You want to hear
Yes.
them speak and be like, that really hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes your brain kind of go,
Yeah.
that's what you're looking for. What is the sound? Ba, 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 ba. That's what you're
Yeah.
looking for. You're looking for
Yes.
that feeling.
I love that. That's so true. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, I have to have Tharyn on the podcast, because you were one of those people where when your videos came up on my feed, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, 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 yes. Because I love how you hold space for things. I love that you incorporate this idea that, being kind to yourself and being able to make mistakes, like that these are all important aspects, not just in the day-to-day life, but also in the mystical, magical world as well, in this working with
Mhm.
spirits. And I wanted to talk a little bit about your videos, kind of like going back to that. You've kind of become the person with the ghost tea and all the ghost gossip on TikTok. Like, I
I
love
love
it.
that.
And one
What
of
a
your
title to have.
it's amazing, right? Like, so one of your most recent TikToks gathered quite a bit of traction, in which you had connected with spirits who were, we could say, less than thrilled about certain paranormal investigators. And I was curious if you could maybe talk a little bit about that.
So, in being an investigator, you go to places other people have been. And I've been to quite a few places that we call, when in my circle, we call him that one guy, because we all know who we're talking about, that one
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Um, from Gettysburg, it was the Jenny Wade house, the Tilly Pierce house
Mhm.
Inn, where they didn't go, but they knew about it, which I found very funny.
Oh my gosh.
I heard that he did go there, but I don't think there was an episode, though I haven't been able to find one. Maybe there was, and just I have no idea. The battlefields, St.
Hmm.
Augustine. There was other places around that I have been in New York and Penhurst and stuff. And I some of the work has been done where they just act like I just was like, so that guy, and they're like, no, absolutely not, no.
Hmm.
At in St. Augustine, hey, I'm really sorry that he treated you that way and spoke about you in such a disrespectful manner. We're not all like that. I
Yeah.
really apologize on behalf of the community. And then they were like, good, thank you, Jesus. Ugh. Some ghosts were very much like, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Like he was so rude. Like he yelled at me. Why did he yell at me? I don't understand what I did. Um, and other times it was like, if I thought about him too hard, because I'll be like, oh, I know he was here. And I'll
Yeah.
think about him too hard. And then I'll feel this energy of like,
The slow head shake. No.
I will say though, in
Mm.
fairness, there are some that were like, oh yeah, that guy. And they were
All
like
right.
okay with him,
Interesting.
but they
Different
were also the one that was
personalities.
causing me the most. Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah, no,
that ghost was
okay.
causing me a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, then that makes sense. All right.
But understanding, like I do hold space for the fact that I've been on a paranormal show.
Yeah.
So I understand they try to create the environment for the factor of the viewership. What he
Yes.
does is beyond the means of being realistic. And we're
Yeah.
going from it like, this is a haunting that we're experiencing to the demon Zozo. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, what? And I've had so many people reach out to me and like thank me for talking about it and be like,
Yeah.
we people like it was right after I posted that video that I had so many tags from other people's like, so like psychics, what do ghosts say about him? And I was like, I rise.
I've
I
been
rise.
summoned.
I
I've
and
arrived.
and now I am like the representative for the ghosts.
Uh-huh.
And the problem has been I have so much evidence and so many places and
Yeah.
hours of time. And I've been taking the time to just make sure that I clip everything, re-review it. I'm checking my sources. I'm making sure that I have it all put together properly so
Yeah.
that you can hear me ask the questions while getting the answers. So it's been a task to do that, but it's a
Mm.
labor of love because I want them to
Yeah.
have their peace about it.
Yes. No, and I love that. And I love that you I feel like this is gonna sound so silly. I feel like you're the Lorax, but for the ghosts. I speak for the ghosts, you go and you make your apology on behalf of, paranormal investigators and mediums and psychics. And I love that you're trying to build those bridges and with that I'm curious, since this seems to be, this specific kind of style of investigating became really popular because it's very quote unquote entertaining to
Mm-hmm.
media. What are some things that you would like to see done differently in the paranormal investigation field as someone who is kind of the bridge between the two worlds?
Stop asking ghosts when they die for the love of all that is holy.
How did you die and
Please
when?
stop asking
Yes.
them about how did you die? What is your name? How old
Yeah.
are you? Blah, blah, blah.
Tell me your
Like, I
trauma.
have met ghosts. Tell, do you walk up to a stranger
It's
you just met and
Mhm.
go, I really want to, I like, so when your when your dad died, how did you feel about that? Bro, who starts a sentence like that? I just sat down. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. It's so traumatizing. And
Seriously,
I've had
yes.
ghosts like come back to me when I'm like, hey, so like what are some like what do you want to talk about? They're like, don't ask me my name. And then I've also been like, is there something I can call you? They'll be like, I don't remember my name. Because you're talking
Mm,
about people like most of
yeah.
these historic places are anywhere between like 150, 200, maybe even 300 years old,
Oh
depending
gosh,
on where
yeah.
it is. And you're just like, hey, guy that died in the 1700s, what's your name? And he's like, I don't know, but they call me Demon. Like,
Oh no,
yeah,
my heart.
I've had ghosts just say they call me like they were given a name and they just took it. And I get that. I
Mm,
understand that.
yeah.
Stop when you ask for specifics of dates and you want specificity. Some ghosts are good at remembering those things, some are not. Like think about somebody who has like gone through something really traumatic. Trauma actually breaks up your memory bank. It makes it harder for you to
Yep.
remember certain aspects of things.
Yep.
You remember the traumatic experience, but like the time before, leading, and after may be a blur to you. So you're
Yes.
asking about a moment in time that was utterly traumatic to them. And then you're like, but tell me everything that happened after.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there was a trauma involved, they're probably not going to remember because that's something that our brain does to protect us.
Yes.
And what I would also like to see is just like, why not just ask them what their favorite color is? Like start a
Yeah.
conversation, like get to know, chit chat, small talk. Some people hate small talk, and I totally get that. But when you start slow and you're just like, hey, so I'm just here, wanted to hang out, bring something. Like I brought think of it as an offering, if that makes you feel better. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
brought some snacks. I brought a like tobacco because I know you guys like to smoke cigarettes and stuff or something like that. And just show them that you're there to help. Like you're there to help. You're just there to casually chat. And don't make it just about, you have to touch this to validate your existence. Also,
Yeah.
that's two. They don't
Yeah.
have to do anything for you. I don't
Yes.
have to validate my existence by touching a cat toy. If
I love when you flip it,
like
how ridiculous it ends up sounding. Like, I mean, yeah.
if you have to throw this for you me to prove that you exist, and I'm just like, okay, what does that
Ta-da.
prove to you?
Yeah, so yeah.
Ta-da!
Mhm.
It, I don't appreciate this. Like I understand that some people's goals in mind is to prove it. Like
Yeah.
they want to be the one that proves
Oh yeah.
ghosts as we understand them are real. But there's so much more complexity to what a ghost actually is, and
Yes.
what their impact and their placement means, rather than it just be consciousness after death. It's so much broader than that, and there's so much more information we could actually be trying to gather to understand better
Yes.
that we don't. So
Yes, it's
that's
layered.
my
It's
thoughts on that.
I love that. I love that so much. And it really does sound like a lot of what you're talking to and speaking on is having more kindness overall. Having like you would with if you were a tarot reader, if you're a psychic, if you're any kind of person who offers readings to people, it's having trauma-informed care with the living, but with people who have passed, with spirits, with entities. Like being aware of like, okay, that was a traumatic experience. Let's maybe not go that hard, that deep when we don't know them very well. Like, let's build into it. Let's see what they're comfortable with talking about and what they can remember, what they want to discuss. And I love that. It's
Oh
more,
yeah,
like I said, it's more of that kindness and gentleness, which I so appreciate.
there there are some people that are great readers, terrible bedside manner.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
that's what
just
it is.
it's the art of wanting to be correct. And I see
Oof.
that a lot on the internet. And that's
Yes.
one of my big bugs. It's my big irk is when people share, like, I did a reading for someone's past loved one and I just described perfectly the traumatic experience of them dying.
Mm,
And they're like,
yeah.
yes, I was right. And they do that in the comments. I
Oh, I
cannot with that.
can't. No,
I don't even
same.
talk I will not talk to past loved ones about their death if they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I won't focus on it. I want to see.
Yes.
I will use my clairvoyance. I will describe you their voice, their mannerisms, how they stand. I will
Yes,
give you
same.
anything but that.
Yes, it's all about
Anything
the
but that.
emotional personality and the emotional connection. When I do pet communication, whether that's mediumship or living, when I do mediumship sessions with humans who have passed, it's always about let's tap into the personality, let's tap into their emotional state, let's tap into that. And if they want to talk about the passing, then okay. But yes.
I think you'll understand what I'm saying when I mention it this way. We are not just working for the client. We are also working for them.
Yes.
We are a conduit mediator and
Yes.
translator for what they're trying to say to you. I understand there's things that you need. I know you're looking for certain things, but I cannot force them to do it if they're not comfortable, and I won't.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. I say the same thing with pet communication, where it's like, look, we're not forcing them to do anything they don't want to do or they don't feel comfortable doing. I'm here to be the mediator. I'm here to be the translator, but not force
Mm-hmm.
anybody to do anything, you know? Absolutely.
If you're comfortable talking about it, that's fantastic.
Yes. Yep.
They don't want to.
Yep.
And I literally have to mediate it as
Yes.
best as I can. And that's what a lot of what it is that we're actually doing is we're
Yes.
mediating conversations because we are the operator plugging in the line so that
Yes.
you can get the phone call.
That's exactly what it is. And some people may not understand that reference because I'm like, oh wait, hold on, how old are we? But no, it's
Wait,
such a
how old
perfect
am I?
visual.
um
Um, but but
we we
yes.
we we are like the like when you have a Mac, right? People have Macs, right? You
Yeah,
need a separate thing to plug in your USB. We are that device that plugs into your Mac so your
exactly.
USBs can connect. That's what it
There it
is.
is. That's good. That's good. I
Wow,
love it.
I feel so old right now.
I know, same. I'm like, oh no, because I was like, oh yeah, the telephone operator, and then I had to stop and be like, oh no, some people may not get that. But
No, I'm
anyways, I
ancient. Oh God.
I so appreciate you coming onto the podcast and sharing your empathetic awareness and kindness around the paranormal and spirits. And I know we could talk for hours, and I really love your energy and what you bring to the field, and I'm so glad people could listen to you today or whenever they're listening to this and connect in that way. But if they want to connect in further with you, which I'm sure people are going to be eating this up and wanting to know, how can they get more Theron?
So if you want to work with me, book a one-on-one session, tharynbeyondtheveil.com. It's very simple. Tharyn Beyond the Veil is where you'll find me anywhere. Connect on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website. On my website, I do consultations of all kinds of varieties. Everything is organized into what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get into? And I teach, I do classes. I have so much stuff on there. Sign up for my newsletter. You'll get updates of things that change as they go. And I am so grateful and so privileged to be able to connect and to help people realize how great they truly are. That's my
Yes.
favorite part of this job.
Yes, I tell people when they come in for any kind of session, I'm like, we're here to celebrate you. We're here to uplift you and get you that inspiration. So, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again so much for sharing yourself
Of
and what you
course.
do. It's been such a pleasure. And for anyone who is new to listening to the podcast, you can find me at Fantasma Witch on TikTok, Instagram, and my website. Thank you so much again, Theron. And hopefully, we will talk more on the podcast. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, I'm always available. You just let me know. I'm more than happy.
Thank you for joining me on this magical, mystical journey within the Oracle Parlor. It has been such a pleasure to have you. And please, if you have questions or a spooky story that you would like to share with the podcast, email oracleparlorpod@gmail.com. If you would like to learn more from me, Phantasma Witch, head over to my Patreon. There are free memberships as well as paid memberships where you can get access to monthly magical workshops, Q&A, behind the scenes, and so much more. Don't forget, you can also book a reading directly with me, whether that's tarot, palm reading, pet communication, or even mystical intuitive consultations. You can find all that and more on my website, phantasmawitch.com. That's Fantasmawitch.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Phantasma Witch, as well as TikTok at Phantasma Witch. And if you aren't listening to this on YouTube, you can also find me there at Phantasma Witch. If you enjoyed the podcast, please, please, please make sure you leave a rating, share it with people you know. It really helps out. Thank you again, and I will see you witches in the next episode.